Able to seal him. Here's the pass. Oh, what a catch! Leaping into the air and pulling it down is T. Higgins. Burrow facing pressure. Goes over the top. Wide open is Chase. And he splits the defenders for the touchdown. Cincinnati kid, Hubbard's got a convoy, chased by Andrews, at the
30, the 20, he will score!
Who day, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Maan, we have an incredible show tonight. It is going to be action-packed. We have an awesome guest coming on that we are so excited to have. But before we get to our special guest, Maan, I want to know how your week is. And I want to talk a little bit about, now that we've had some time to sleep on it, this Bengals-Bills game. So, Maan, first of all, start off, tell me how your week's been, man.
It's been great. That win the other night was phenomenal, unbelievable, and got to watch the game again. And it was fun. It was even better the second and third time I watched it.
I'll tell you, man, how crazy is this? I saw this stat the other day, and to me, this is such an appealing stat for us Bengal fans.
Hey, Jake, real quick, our special guest is in. Let's go ahead and bring him in.
Let's bring him in. All right. Before we do, let's talk about him really quick. Our special guest tonight, guys, is one of the coolest guys that you will ever meet. He was the Bengals 6th round pick this year. He is the Bengals starting punter. Grew up in Westerville, Ohio, played for the University of Michigan, and now plays for our beloved Cincinnati Bengals. He is number 10 on the field, but number 1 in our hearts. Let's bring him on. Cincinnati Bengal punter, Brad Robbins. Brad, what's up, my man?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
What's going on, man? Thanks so much for coming on, Brad. It means the world to us. And I before we get started, I'm going to pump you up a little bit, Brad, because I'll tell you, when we met you, I'm going to tell a story really quick. When we met you, it was week 2 after the Ravens game. You and I used to live in the same complex as you, and myself, Maan, our producer Eric, and his son Austin had just got home from the Baltimore game, and we were bummed like most Bengal fans that day, and I'm sure you guys as well. Lost a tough game, a heartbreaker, really. We get out of the car and we're walking in, and I'll tell you, Brad, the whole drive over to the complex, not a word was being spoke because we were so bummed. And I'll tell you, man, you did something that is one of the most classy things I have ever seen from a professional athlete. You come out of your condo and give us a quick shout, a quick hooday, and you have a game ball. You give Eric's son Austin a game ball that you had from the Browns game, and you just sat there and you talked football with us for about 30 or 40 minutes. And I'll tell you, Brad, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you really saved the day for the 4 of us, because we went from being depressed to just being in awe of how classy of a dude you were. And you were so genuine, man. I just want to say thank you so much. Being a coach, having guys that play in the league that I coached in high school, I talked to them all about just remembering where you came from and being genuine. And dude, I'm telling you, you got 4 serious fans for the rest of your career, dude, because you just absolutely made our day, Brad.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. But yeah, you kind of, hit the nail on the head with that one, just talking about, remembering where you came from and just really putting things into perspective, right? I think kind of the world has this view, or at least in the US and with professional athletes and stuff, right? So kind of holding them up on a pedestal and thinking they're almost not human, right? And
Right.
to be able to connect with people at just like a human level and being able to have genuine conversations, and be able to just talk about really anything, talk about life. It's great. It means the world to me as well, just to be able to talk to you guys and have you guys be so cool. Right. So, but yeah, I had that game ball. I was thinking about it for a long time. I was like, man, I don't know who to give this to, but I want to give it to somebody,
And it's crazy too. It's crazy too, Brad, right? It's just moments happen in life where people connect, and it's just one of those things that was just a natural connection. And I'll tell you, Eric's son Austin was beaming ear to ear on the entire 15, 16-hour ride home that we had. You made that kid's year. I'm telling you, man, you made his year. And he went out and got a Brad Robbins jersey. I mean, he's a Brad Robbins super fan, Brad. But again, I think more so it was just because of how genuine you were. So again, thank you for coming on the show. We have a lot to talk about. And when we talked to you that day and we hung out and talked football and stuff, you resonated the same sentiment that we got from Joe Burrow, that we got from Zach Taylor, that we got from every other Bengal player. You told us that day, hang in there, guys. We're going to turn this thing around quick. And damn it, Brad, you guys have turned it around, man. Talk real quick about this incredible turnaround.
Yeah. It's hard for me to speak on everyone's behalf, especially as a rookie. And all I can do is really just sit back and observe the amount of leadership and the amount of, dedication guys have to their craft. And really, it's just amazing. It's the top 0.1%, right? So,
yeah.
Just watching how committed these guys are and really just talking about our culture. It feels unmatched. I don't have really anything in the NFL to compare it to because this is my only experience being on this team. But the locker room just feels so good. It feels great to be a part of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah,
man.
so a big part of it, right, is also as a rookie, and Coach Taylor helped us with this, is doing our due diligence and learning about the history of the Bengals, right, and what the fans have gone through and what the city has gone through, right, and really understanding what we need to represent and how we need to represent ourselves, and what to look forward to in the times ahead.
Awesome. Man, that's good. That's good stuff. Hey, real quick on that note, you've played in some big time games, playing from the University of Michigan. You've been in some incredible atmospheres, I'm sure, playing in the big house. But talk about Sunday night, because Maan and I and Eric, unfortunately, we had to watch it back down here in Florida. But it looked like the most electric that stadium has been since I can remember. I've been a fan for 40 years. Talk about that atmosphere on Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, it's 50,000 less people than the big house, and it's louder than the big house.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
Incredible. I'm just kind of reading about it too. I feel like, the college atmosphere, right? They do a good job with all the students and, they're handing out T-shirts and all that kind of stuff, right? But as an NFL crowd, I feel like it's very difficult to kind of have that same energy. And the Cincinnati Bengals fans have that energy and then some. So it's just, it's unbelievable. Sunday night, I can just, looking back on the stripes in the crowd from our perspective, just looked unbelievable. And I remember just turning to our long snapper, Cal, and being like, dude, where would you rather be right now? This is awesome, the best place ever. As they're announcing guys running out, I'm like, Cal, this is the coolest thing of all time.
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's important to take in those factors and take in the environment and be like, man, this is really, really cool. But yeah, as soon as the clock starts to tick down, starting the first quarter, it's important to get in that right headspace and be able to perform under pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad, watching that on TV, I couldn't imagine being there. It looked absolutely phenomenal. Hey, I listened to a podcast recently you were on with Dan Horde. He mentioned how sneaky fast you are and you're a great athlete. Have you ever had to make a game-saving tackle in college. And if that opportunity arises in the NFL, are you going to lay the wood on somebody?
Yeah, I'll put my body on the line, definitely. Especially, I didn't have that opportunity in college. Our cover team was so good, and our cover team is really good here too. So, hopefully I don't have to have that opportunity, right? That's usually not great for
That's true.
We don't want you to have that opportunity.
But yeah, I obviously will do my job and put my body on the line for the team. That's
How fast are you?
I would probably run like a high 4.6 right now if I were to stretch. Like, I'm not like fast, but I can run. Yeah, I ran track, cross country and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, we saw the video of you throwing a ball around too. I think somebody put on Twitter, "Hey, we might have a backup if we need one." Obviously, when Joe's calf was, and you were out there spinning it, man. You can spin the ball.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm getting rid of the baseball throwing motion. That was the main issue to start this thing. Got the baseball throwing motion, so now I'm working to be more like a quarterback. Talking to AJ McCarron.
Just in case.
Yeah, I'm talking to all the guys. So.
Just in case. Let me ask you, because you hit on it, Brad, about the culture of this locker room, and we as Bengal fans, the last couple years, that's all we've heard about is how strong this locker room is with the leadership, the culture that Coach Taylor has brought in, and even losing guys like Jesse Bates and Von Bell last year that were leaders of this football team. It really feels like we haven't missed a beat in the locker room. Talk a little bit about, more specifically, how that has enriched you as a player and what it is that you see in this locker room that makes it so strong.
Yeah. Just kind of starting, like, as a rookie punter, my number is going to be, called on, right, to punt. I'm not maybe like a corner or something, like a younger guy who's still behind a couple guys trying to figure it out, and also watching the older guys. Like I was, kind of thrown into the fire right away. And as you can tell, like from the first game of the season, we have 10 punts in the rain. It's like you got to perform, man. Like you got to go. Yeah. So being thrown into the fire a little bit, I think helped me just mature quicker. And really, I understand, like, kind of back to your point and your question about like what I notice in the locker room and what's going on is we have tons of guys that we brought in who have won Super Bowls, like Ted, Nick Scott and all those kind of guys. Right. So those guys know where we want to go and know where we are going. And then you also have, right, the Joe Burrow played in the Super Bowl, all that, kind of stuff. But those guys are, how can I say this, are very like complimentary and easygoing and easy to talk to, especially if you're going through some stuff, right? Like, so after the game, I feel like I did all right. Like I had a couple inside the 20 in every opportunity I got, but it means the world to me when Joe comes up to me the next day and it's like, "Hey man, like you did really well yesterday. You helped us out."
That's awesome.
So like there's all that kind of stuff in the locker room, and you're able to have conversations. Everybody talks to everybody. It's very much like family oriented, if that makes sense. Awesome. Rather than like these are the big time guys, you don't really talk to them. Right. These are the guys that what have you. But they're everybody is together. Is what I'm trying to say.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, I got Brad. If you guys hear a barking dog, I apologize. The dog's excited about Brad Robbins. Okay, so Darren Simmons is known to be one of the best special teams coaches in the NFL. I know you've only been on the team for a handful of games, and since you've been drafted. But what makes him a great special teams coach? Can you tell us what does he do to make such a positive impact on our special teams?
Yeah, I mean, aside from the schemes, I just think as a person, he demands the best out of you. He knows when to push buttons at the right time and when to lay off and be able to have that relationship with you. My first impression of him, when I was going through practices and maybe I'd struggle a day, then I'd do really well, and we just talk about like, on the days where, maybe I'm struggling figuring stuff out, he's actually pressing me harder, trying to get me to work. He's like, "I'm just trying to apply pressure to you like way more pressure than, anything you'll ever have. So you can overcome that. So he's kind of a genius, in that regard, and working that relationship and demanding the best out of you. So, but yeah, no, I feel like my first thought with him is, I'm going to be really, really good working under this guy. I feel like he's going to push me to be, do you want to be great or do you want to be the best? So, that's something that kind of echoes through my mind when, he's coaching me hard and I'm hitting punts and we're kind of chatting back and forth and having conversation. That's one thing that goes through my head is like, man, this guy really wants me to be the best. And, I just want to provide that for our team. I want to provide that for him. I want to provide that for the city and all of our fans. So, yeah, I just think, he's been there since 2003, long time. So he's obviously doing something right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like he lasted through, he lasted after the Marvin era.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Two different coaches. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and how cool is it too, Brad, that you, Cal, and Evan, it's like you're growing up together in the NFL. I mean, that's got to be a cool experience. Obviously, as Bengal fans, we're huge Kevin Huber fans and huge Clark Harris fans. I mean, those guys are going to be, just all-time greats for the Bengals. They were the ruler of the jungle the other night. That had to be cool too to see those guys. But that's awesome that the three of you are kind of growing up together.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're all, Evan's the youngest and has the most NFL experience. He's
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he's a year younger than me and a year younger than Cal.
Interesting.
He's married, with a kid on the way. And I have a girlfriend.
He's the adult. He's the adult.
I have a girlfriend and Cal's single. So it's like, no, he's. I talked about this. Me and Evan go to Bible study together. We go to church together.
Cool.
And I was able to tell him this. Like he's a guy to look up to, even though he's younger than me, which is a weird thing to say. It's a guy I can follow. So no, very easygoing personality, and it really helps that we're all young and can hang out outside of the.
That's awesome.
Outside of
that's got to be a cool experience. Well, let's talk a little bit about your transition from college to the NFL. And when we talked to you after that Ravens game, you were so confident in yourself, and as fans, we love that in our players, right? We want our players to have that confidence. And let me just throw out these stats real quick, Brad, because these last 5 games, I'm not sure if people realize how well you've kicked the football. This last game, the Buffalo game, all 3 of your punts inside the 20-yard line. That's big time, right? That's a huge flip of field position. You are doing your job incredible when you could get every single one of your punts inside the 20-yard line. So I'm not going to count those 3 punts because those 3 punts, again, inside the 20, and you weren't really in that position. So your stats here, 17 punts, you were averaging almost 50 yards in your last 17 punts. Again, not including the Buffalo ones. If we're including the Buffalo ones, you're still right at about 47 yards a punt. Dude, your longest punts, Tennessee game 62, Arizona game 59, Seattle game 55, 49er game 49, Buffalo game 49. You have really flipped the script quickly. And again, I don't know if people realize how well you're kicking the ball, but I want you to kind of talk about that and your transition from college to the NFL, how difficult that was. And now that you are excelling in the NFL, how did that whole transition work?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a strange thing in itself. And like prefacing it, I think like the first 2 or 3 games, right? The adjustment period.
Right. Well, the first game, you can't even count that first game, dude. You were kicking in a monsoon.
Yeah, but
10 times.
Either way, like it's the AFC North, right? I should be able to perform. But having that be my, first welcome to the NFL, and I didn't perform all that great. I think a lot of people would lose that confidence and be like, oh man, do I really belong? And, all that kind of stuff. But I saw it as a challenge. and kind of, felt like, all right, I put my back up against the wall with these like 3 games. I averaged like 40, 3 games in a row. I was like, what is going on? Trying to figure out, is it technique? What's going on here? So I really just flipped a switch in my head about, I'm just going to be aggressive with my lines. I'm going to be aggressive with my swing. I'm going to be aggressive. Matt Prater told me, if you're struggling and you're trying to figure out the sweet spot, like swing harder. That's all you got to do. So I was talking to him about it, and I was like, all right, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. So just started to swing, man, and commit to the shot and commit to, the guys around me are going to cover, and kind of flipping back to Michigan, right? Our long snapper we're a pro style system. Our long snapper gets hurt, tears his ACL. We have a second string long snapper guy. His name's Greg. He's one of my buddies. Not as like big in weight, right? Tougher to block. Still kind of trying to figure out the scheme. And we get a punt blocked against Rutgers. Guy comes free up the middle, blocks punt for a touchdown. And from that point forward, we switched our punt and our basically just our scheme to like spread and like, all right, man, just hang the ball up there high and short. Like we're instead of capitalizing on you being like a weapon for us, like we're just trying to prevent a negative play here.
Yeah.
That's what, like, we just need to have something positive come out of this. We're just going to try to force a bunch of fair catches.
Right.
So now, transitioning to the NFL, I'm thinking like, all right, I have 2 gunners covering. This is my first initial thought. I have 2 gunners covering. It's illegal if guys go down the field. So maybe just hang it up there and try to like guide it to the sideline. That was my thought process,
right?
Which really is wrong. No, it's really about, trusting each other, right? Trusting your guy to the left and to the right of you. Trusting your swing, trusting the coaching, and trusting the process. Being a process-oriented guy. So, just started to become more aggressive with the swing. It's kind of like the turning point, and really understanding different field spots and different field zones, how we can execute the best. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Awesome.
Well, Brad, my next question, you've pretty much touched on a lot of them just now, but I'm going to ask it anyway. A lot of us fans, we just think, a successful kick is just kicking the hell out of the ball. It's bigger than that, obviously. What is your definition of a successful punt?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Right. So, the Bills returner was a really good returner. So not letting him get any return yards, which we didn't do. Getting the ball out of his hands, hanging the ball up there, right? Placing it in positions where he can't get to it maybe is, best case scenario. But the problem is everyone in the NFL is a good returner. So it's really but he is really, really solid. Credit to him. But yeah, so a successful punt really has to do with where you're at on the field. So if the ball is, like at the 50-yard line towards their territory. So I'm essentially hitting, a ball inside the 10 that's going to be like a high hang, like end over end type ball. And I'm trying to either force a fair catch, or if the guy lets it go, our gunner is going to catch it or let it roll and bat it out, all that kind of stuff. So that's success there. Another successful like ideation of a punt would be like, hey, just hit the ball 60 yards. If I could hit the ball 60 yards out of bounds every single time, that's a successful punt. Yeah. It really depends on the situation. Returner drops a punt that, maybe I hit like a knuckle, or maybe I hit something that ain't so pretty that a lot of people think you're messing up, like, and the returner drops it.
Yeah.
That's a successful punt. Like, we got the ball back, So yeah, it's all dependent upon situation.
Yeah, that was a key aspect of the game the other night. It seemed like the Bills were starting inside the 10, 12-yard line multiple times, and that helps the defense out a lot. But special teams was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, our cover team was awesome. Our kickoff coverage team was awesome. I think we had a big kickoff play where they started at like the 16 or 19 or something like that. That's huge.
Right.
And we broke it up at Michigan. Coach Harbaugh did this at Michigan where he had every 10 yards starting at the other team's end zone, talked about scoring percentage, from a defensive perspective. So he broke it up. So like 100 yards. So if they, had the ball at their own 10, say it's like they have 7.5%, scoring chance. They go 10 to 20. Maybe it's like, like a 19.5 or something scoring chance all the way up the field of where they receive the ball or where they start their drive.
Right.
So, no, it's huge.
Yeah.
Getting the ball inside the 15 versus inside the 25. That's like a 10%, 15% increase in scoring chance.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is that's I never thought of it that way. That's pretty impressive. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, and two, special teams is so important. As a coach, I make sure I always hang the same importance I do on offense and defense because it takes all three phases to win a football game. That's what the best thing about the sport, right? It's the ultimate team sport. Mm-hmm. We want to bring Eric on. He wants to ask you a question as well. So Eric, you want to jump on real quick? There he is.
There he is.
Yep, I'm trying. Hey, Brad,
Eric, you
how
there?
you doing? Who day, Brad?
Yeah, how you doing? How's it going?
Most of all, doing good. Thanks so much for such a kind gesture. Like Jake said, you've got a fan for life. More worried about the autograph wearing off the jersey now because he's wearing it so much. And it's kind of surprising he's going to wear that over Joe Burrow all the time. But so more power to you. But
there you go.
One question. We based on our conversation when we met you up there, we know you're a Madden guy, and everybody gets asked, and I don't know if you've been asked, but what do you think about your rating? Because I don't agree with it. I think it should be a lot higher. You're got a 70, a 71 rating. What's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all. I mean, there's different cards in Ultimate Team too. So like my buddy plays, Madden Mobile and has an Ultimate Team card of me that's like an 89 or a 91 or something.
Nice.
So like there's different cards out there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's honestly rating the stuff, but I don't really care too much. I go for it on 4th down in Madden anyway. I hate seeing myself out there. Fourth and 20.
We're all going for it.
Yeah, 4th and 20. I'm like, screw that guy. I'm not punting the ball. They're shot him punting the ball. So I don't think punter ratings matter too much. It's more about the kicker rating.
I was going to ask if you brought yourself on and ran a bunch of fake punts all the time.
No, I put myself in at quarterback. And
nice.
My throw rating, I guess, isn't that good. So like I threw one pass and like it was like an out route to T, and my guy threw it like 30 yards over his head out of bounds. I was like, all right. I was like, well, I guess I'll just hand it off to Joe Mixon and say like I was playing football. So then I go to hand it off to Joe and they just drop it. It's a fumble. And then the other team gets the ball. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm subbing Joe back in. So
that's so funny, dude.
Yeah, I need him to take me out of this hole.
Dude, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Hey, before we get you out of here, Brad, you mind real quick, can you tell everybody the story that you told the three of us about your draft day experience? Just real quick, the story you told the three of us, I thought it was hysterical.
Which part of the draft? Because that's a long day for me.
When you got the call.
Oh, about thinking it was a prank type deal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I just have a lot of friends that went to UC. Like when I'm from Columbus, a lot of people go to UC or Ohio State or OU. But yeah, I once I received, kind of the draft day, I was getting calls from different teams and stuff, and I didn't really hear anything from Coach Simmons that day. And then I had one team tell me, hey, we're going to take you next. And then I get a call from a 513. I was like, huh. And yeah, so it was kind of weird how it happened. I thought it was like a friend at first that said it was Zach Taylor. I was like, oh yeah, sure. What's up, Zach?
Oh yeah, sure. That's good.
Yeah. But yeah,
Hey,
no, I didn't really believe it at first. It was kind of surreal. Kind of like, like a blackout moment. You're like, oh, this might be real. This might be, I don't even know what to say. Until you heard the infamous, holy shit. like I said that on the phone call, and he's like, yeah, we're going to have to bleep that out. And then I saw my name. Then I saw my name on the TV, and I was like, "Oh man, I just ruined it."
No, I think that's the best. That's a natural reaction. That's the best, dude.
Yeah, it was definitely a genuine caught off guard reaction. But yeah, no, couldn't have worked out any other way. In my mind, it's the best case scenario for me, for my family, and just happy to be a part of the organization.
And let me tell you, dude,
We're glad to
are
have you.
so
We're
happy.
glad to have you.
Yes, we are so happy to have you, dude. And thank you so much again for coming on tonight, Brad. I mean, the three of us, we're huge fans. And like I said before, we appreciate everything. We're going to be looking forward to catching up with you very soon, talking some playoff football down the road, one game at a time, right? One game at a time.
That's right.
But thank you again so much, man. We appreciate it. Eric and I will actually be Eric and I and Austin too, right? Is Austin coming?
Austin will be there. Yep.
So yeah, Eric and I and Austin are going to be up this Sunday. So we'll give you a hoot day while we're up there.
Okay, good deal.
Thanks, brother.
Like yeah, thank you. See you Sunday.
Hoot day, Brad. Hoot day.
Hoot day.
Man,
that was awesome.
Great dude. What a great dude.
That was awesome.
Maan, real quick, I want you to kind of talk about that time when we met him. It was wasn't it just one of the most classy things I've seen from a professional athlete. I don't think I really explained it as great as it was, but what an incredible dude.
Yeah, I remember it was very nonchalant. He just came up and goes, "Hey, buddy, you want a football?" I looked at him. I'm like, "Hey, man, I think that's Brad Robbins." And it was just 25, 30 minutes of just guys talking sports. He was such a, genuine. The key word is genuine.
Yes.
Just genuine, down to earth guy. It was just, a handful of guys in a parking lot just talking sports. And he was great. And, we exchanged numbers, and it led to this show, and we appreciate and thank him so much because he's a good guy. The Bengals got a good one. We're lucky to have him, and he's going to be our punter for 8, 10, 12 years.
Well, and again, we always talk about Burrow and these other guys, Maan, and how well they're starting to play. You got to put Brad in that conversation. I mean, again, I don't think people realize, because the offense was playing so well, all three of Brad's punts were inside the 20-yard line against Buffalo. That's huge. I mean, he talked about the percentage of scoring.
I mean, honestly, hearing him talk about the percentages, I never thought of that. Obviously it makes sense. But that's, that is something. I mean, he said it's under 10% if they start a drive inside the 10, and then every 10 yards it goes up significantly. So, that was interesting that, how he explained how Harbaugh at Michigan breaks it down. Really neat. One other thing about that interaction we had with him at the apartment. Yeah. Eric's son was just so, his eyes were just, let's face it, we were bummed out. We lost a tough game, home opener. We're all sad. We had just eaten about 16 bowls of chili at Skyline.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
We're eating our pain away. And then we go there and he hands him the
eating
football.
Our sadness.
Yeah. And he was just so excited and happy. It made his trip, and it was great to see.
And really, I'll be honest with you, it made my day. I mean, it was just seeing that from a professional athlete is crazy. And obviously we are big Brad fans, and we're excited to watch him and just continue to get better and better and better. He's going to be a Bengal for a long time, no doubt about it. I wanted to finish what I was talking about there just a minute. I want to ask you this, because how crazy is this stat? The Bengals have won 6 straight primetime games now, Maan. 6 straight. Is that not insane to you when you think about all those years that you and I, again, we've been friends for over a decade, and it was like every year we're looking at the schedule like, oh shit, we got 3 primetime games. And now it's like you want primetime games, right?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. I'm a big fan of Marvin Lewis. What he did for the Cincinnati Bengals and our organization is second to none. He made us relevant. He rebuilt the organization. His primetime record was very poor. I forget 11-30. And yeah, you're right. We would see primetime games on the schedule. And we're like, loss. It's totally flipped. It really has, and I think we play our best ball in prime
I
time.
do too.
And we referenced the podcast with the Brad Robbins interview. Dave Lapham was mentioning on his podcast about how coaches tell Zach Taylor at like league meetings how hard it is to play at Paycor. He says it is really tough. He goes, and the atmosphere there is just through the roof. And I just loved hearing that in that podcast because we have a true home field advantage. We really do.
I'll be honest with you. I don't get emotional a lot, but every home game I go to, I get a little emotional in the beginning because I spent decades in Paul Brown Stadium and in Riverfront where it was empty, and it's just, it's a little emotionally overwhelming just to see the electricity now in the stadium. It's just incredible. Before we talk about the big Texans game coming up, Maan, let's jump. We're going to do our talk about the other AFC North games real quick and do those predictions. So Eric, if you'll throw that up real quick, let's talk about some of because there's some big games again coming up here for the AFC North. Obviously right now you have the Ravens at 7-2 and then the rest of us at 5-3. But if the season ended today, Maan, all 4 AFC North teams are in the playoffs, and we would be traveling to Baltimore to play in that first round. So let's talk about if any of that's going to change this weekend with these other AFC North teams. Packers at Steelers, Maan. Who you got?
The Steelers are going to keep on winning. They're playing at home. The Packers are a shell of what they were in the past. Jordan Love, he's playing okay. The Steelers are just getting by with their defense, and the offense is not very good, but they're going to continually get better. I expect them to win. They'll be, are they 6-3? They'll be 6-3. That's a scary team. That's a scary team. I mean, it's an ugly 5-3 right now. I don't know how they're winning, but they keep on finding the way. The wins are going to get better. They're going to be harder to beat, but playing at home, they're getting the Packers, a Packers team that's trying to figure things out. I have the Steelers winning this game. It's going to be like 20-16, something like that.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you, but you know me, I got to talk it into existence. So I'm going to go with the Packers on the road. Jordan Love, they just won this past weekend, playing better football. I am going to go, and I'm going to go out and say the Packers win 21-17 in Pittsburgh. Jordan Love comes in, plays a good football game, and this Packers team wins 21-17. All right. The other really big game in the AFC North this weekend, a game that really benefits the Bengals either way, but one of those things where you really want to see a tie, right? That's what you want to see. By the way, Maan, this stat also came out this week, and it's been all over Twitter. So it's hard for me to give somebody the credit because a bunch of people have tweeted it out. But listen to this, Maan. Only 2 teams in the NFL have beaten teams that have 5 or more wins. Okay. So again, I'll say it again. There's only 2 teams that have 3+ wins against 5-win teams. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kind of. Okay.
I get you.
The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Those are the only 2 teams in the NFL that have 3 or more wins against teams that have at least 5 wins. That is a crazy stat. The Bengals and the Ravens, the only 2. The list is done. That's the end of the list. Browns at Ravens. Who wins this football game, Mom?
We're recording this on a Tuesday night. It's
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Lamar with his ankle. They held him out in the second half. They didn't have to play him. They were dominating the Seahawks.
Yeah.
The Ravens at home are so hard to beat. I'm still not a believer in that Browns offense. Their defense is absolutely legitimate. It's going to be a low scoring game. I'm going to take the Ravens something like, 15-9, multiple field goals. I think the Ravens win 15-9, and it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a physical game, but we got to monitor what's going on with Lamar and his ankle. Hearing speculation, he might not even play this game. Hey, rest up,
Really?
and play against the Bengals. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, this is early. We're recording on a Tuesday. We'll see how it shakes out.
Hopefully they beat the hell out of each other, right?
Yeah.
If our buddy Justin is watching, he would love that score. You know how he always talks about those crazy scores, 15-9. Maan has got the Ravens winning 15-9. What were you going to say, Maan?
We have got to get Justin on the show for draft. He knows his stuff, and he has all these numbers. It's really special. We need to get him on for the draft show.
He's probably the only Florida Gator fan I know that knows his stuff, to be honest. No, he was giving me a bunch of shit when UCF lost to your West Virginia football team, and he said, he texted out, Jake, maybe UCF should have joined the Big Sky. So after Florida just lost to Arkansas's first SEC win all year, they were 2-6. I text Justin. I said, maybe Florida should join the Big Sky with us. Make it a one big.
He goes, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Maybe you're right.
That was fun.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's hard. This game is tough, Mom, because I really think it benefits us more if the Browns lose. I really feel that way. I feel like knocking the Browns and the Steelers out of this thing makes it a two-team race, which I think it is going to be anyways. But I'm going to say the Ravens win this game 17-10, and I'm with you. I think these guys beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah, I said 15-9. You said 17-10. So hey, we're there. We're there.
We're there.
I just think I think the Browns defense is legit. I think the Ravens are going to have a hard time with it. I will say this, just harping on the Ravens, their 2 wins against the Seahawks and the Lions, very impressive. They blew those guys out. Absolutely blew them out.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this Houston Texans football team, on. This Texans team it's scary. I'm not going to lie to you. It's scary. I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe those words just came out of my mouth. But C.J. Stroud last week broke, obviously, an NFL rookie record, threw for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, again, that's against a very bad Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team. But no matter what, that's impressive for a rookie quarterback to do that. Right now, Mon, this guy's offensive rookie of the year, right? I mean, if the season ended today, I think it's a no-brainer. This guy has thrown for over 2,000 yards, has a 62% completion percentage. But listen to this, Mon. 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. He does not turn the ball over. That's incredible for a rookie, Mon. That is insane. Talk a little bit about what you think about C.J. Stroud, and is he going to cause the Bengals some problems?
I think he can. Yeah, he beat the Steelers this year. 14 TDs to 1 interception. That's impressive. He's a rookie. He belongs. He's going to be a player. Earlier in the year, we talked about the Cardinals, how they played a lot of tough games. We said they're feisty. The Texans are the same way. I got some stats for you right here. Points scored, they're 11th in the NFL in points scored. They are averaging 23 points a game. Points allowed, they're tied for 14th. Their defense is allowing almost 21 points a game. Total offense, they're 9th in the NFL in total offense, 351 yards a game. Rushing the ball, they're not a good rushing team. They 27th in the NFL, 87 yards a game. That's more than the Bengals, by the way. Passing, here's where Stroud, you just mentioned, they're fourth in the NFL in passing, 264 yards a game passing. Total defense, they're 18th. They're giving up about 335 yards a game on defense, 10th rushing, 24th passing. So they are susceptible. Joe Burrow could have a big, big game. Again, like I said, we don't know what's going on with some of the other players in the NFL. We don't know what's going on with Chase right now. The Bengals could sit him out, but we still have a lot of weapons. Charlie Jones could come back this week. They've had to throw the ball a lot. His stats are impressive. His yards per game, they're playing catch up a lot, Jake. Their defense isn't the strong point. D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. He's still trying to get his players there. They're a good team. We cannot look ahead to that Ravens game. We cannot, because we're on a roll right now. We have to go into Baltimore with 6 wins. We got to, and then lay it on the line on Thursday night. But before that, we got to win this game. And you're responsible for that because you're going to it.
Jeez, don't put that on. Don't put that shit on me, man. I agree with you, though. I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? This Texans, they have a 3-headed monster at this receiving core. Nico Collins, 36 receptions, 631 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tank Dell, 28 receptions, 454 yards, 4 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, 33 receptions, 350 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Maan, they have 1, 2, 3 guys with over 28 receptions, 3 guys with over 350 yards, and 3 guys with 4 receiving touchdowns. That's a pretty nasty 3-headed monster right there. And I think the one thing that does benefit the Bengals is that we tend to do well against teams that want to come out and throw the ball a lot. And I think this is a good matchup for us, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that to disrespect the Texans, but I do think this is a good matchup for us.
Yeah, I think we're focused. I think the coaching staff is going to be dialed in. And I just got to say one thing. We have Lou. Lou is going to have a game plan for these guys. He's going to slow them down. Our offense has got to come in and just produce some points. We need that time of possession like we had last week. The coaches aren't going to allow this to happen. They cannot, I said it a minute ago, they cannot look ahead. Zach Taylor, Darren Simmons, Lou Anarumo, Callahan, all these coaches, they're going to have our team focused. They're not going to look ahead. They got to beat the Texans. And Eric, thank you very much. He says that the Bengals always win when I'm not in the stadium. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, that is not true, Eric. That is not true, because 2 years ago, Maan and I went to the Steelers game and we beat the Steelers by 30-something points. So, Maan, that is not true. You are not bad luck.
Take that, Eric. Take that.
Okay. Let's talk about this Texans defense real quick, Maan. A team that, and again, I'm looking at the way this team performs, but only 17 sacks, so they don't really get to the quarterback very well. Grenard, their defensive end, has 6 sacks. He is their leader by far. I think the next guy maybe has 2 or 3 maybe. Only 4 interceptions from this Houston defensive side of the ball. So they don't really turn the ball over a lot either on defense. Again, this is a great matchup. I feel for our Cincinnati Bengals that do a great job, knock on wood, of not turning the football over. Again, I think this Houston team is going to have to play a perfect game to beat the Bengals.
Yeah, I playing at Paycor helps Cincinnati. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we are becoming one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. Paycor is a big advantage. I just don't see them beating us. It's not going to be easy. Jake, they have some very quality wins. They have a great road win. They beat the Jaguars this year in Jacksonville, and they beat them by 20 points.
Yeah.
So, listen, this team can put a hurting on you. And it's on these coaches to get this team ready, and we just cannot look ahead. A lot of teams do that. They know they got a game 4 days later. They know it's a big division game, pretty much a must win. It's easy to sort of overlook this and focus on the Ravens. If they do that, Cincinnati's going to lose this game.
Yeah.
And they can't do that. They can't do it. I don't think they will. But the Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans is, could be coach of the year. And he's done a really good job with his team. And Stroud, and what is it with the AFC and quarterbacks? I mean, the AFC is flat out loaded.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And you're so right about that, Mon. You look at both conferences, and it's like NFC 1, right?
Yeah.
1, AFC 10. You know what I mean? It's just a huge difference. It's just insane. Before we get out of here, real quick, I want to go over these because I love PFF. I'm going to go over these PFF grades real quick from the Buffalo game because we can get a chance to do that. Burrow, number 1 on offense at 91.9. Mon, it's always a good thing when your quarterback has the highest PFF rating. Higgins comes in at 86.2. Tanner Hudson, Mon, your guy, 81.3 for Tanner.
I don't dislike him. Don't dislike him.
Listen to this, Mon. 3, 4, and 5. Tanner Hudson, Sample, Irv Smith. Those were the 3, 4, and 5. Hudson with an 81.3, Sample with a 78, Smith with a 74.5. That's a good sign. Defensively, Mom, just really quick. Cam Taylor-Britt is becoming one of my favorite Bengals. I absolutely love this dude. 88.6, Awuzie coming in at 76.3, BJ Hill 75.4, Reader with a 72.4. Just real quick, Mon, touch on those numbers.
Yeah, I want to talk about the tight ends really quick. We mentioned it on the recap the other day. Those 10 catches are huge. If you listen to Dave Lapham, you listen to all the podcasts. The Buffalo Bills went into that game saying, "Hey, Jamar Chase is not going to beat us. He's not going to go off and get 10 catches for 200 yards." They were bracketing him. They were just really spying him. So what did the Bengals do? Tight ends get 10 catches and 2 touchdowns. You know what? That should scare the 31 other NFL teams that are in the NFL. Cincinnati can diversify their offense. The tight ends can come in and play. You don't need to have a top 10 tight end in the NFL. You can come in. Joe Burrow is an expert at making tight ends look amazing. I mean, just ask these guys. Look at the guy that went to, I forgot his name all of a sudden, went to the Panthers.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. I mean, look at him. He made millions of dollars. And listen, it was good to see Irv Smith play well the other night. He catches a lot of heck from Bengal fans.
Yeah.
Listen, he's played in the NFL. He's been hurt, unfortunately, but he made some nice catches. And we don't need him to be a superstar. We just need him to be a competent tight end. And Drew Sample, I don't think any tight end in the history of the Bengals besides Dan Coates has caught more hell than Drew Sample. And that little remember him? He had the worst hands.
Dan Coates up.
Oh, it was the worst. Remember that meme somebody made Dan Coates with the concrete hands? It was so funny. I hope our fans know who Dan Coates is. That was horrible.
That was horrible. That was a rough patch. Come on, that was a rough patch, Dan Coates patch. Listen, hey, how cool was it that Coach Taylor gave game balls to Coach Casey and the tight end room, right? These guys, they know how rough it's been right now with the tight ends, and now they're involved. Again, 10 catches, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great day. Let's pick this Texans-Bengals game on. The game of the weekend. Texans at Bengals. Who you got?
I got our good guys. The Cincinnati Bengals winning 35-21. Cincinnati over the Texans.
Okay. I was going to say 35-17, so I'm going to say 38-17. Good guys. Our Cincinnati Bengals win 38-17, and they give us a little bit of ease in the second half. I don't feel like there's going to be that crazy thought of something bad happening. Bengals win 38-17. For our listeners, really quick, I just want to tell you that I wasn't going to do this, Mom, but I got to. Not only was there a big game between the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills this weekend, but there was a huge game in Florida Fantasy Football League. The Burrow babies right here took on the Burrow Jumbo package. That would be Maan. And the Burrow babies came out victorious, Mon, 160.5 0.22 to 81.98, Maan. That is a beating.
My guys are on IR. You know what, Jake? Jake, honestly, I didn't know that was your team, and I didn't.
I knew it was yours.
I know you did. And congratulations on the win. I don't know what to say.
You're saying you're the Arizona Cardinals of our league right now. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, I've won 3 in a row in Bengal Gems League. Okay, so I'm the defending champion there. So look out.
Nice. Well, hey, real quick, Mom, before we get out of here again, thank you so much to Brad Robbins for coming on the show again. What a class act. We are so excited to have him as a Cincinnati Bengal and glad that he's a friend of the show.
Yeah, it was great, and hope to have him on again. And it was just a great meeting, and it's one hell of a memory, and great show.
Great show. All right, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. If you like this podcast, make sure you give Maan and I that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. Follow Maan on Twitter at @TheFireMaan. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Wincinnati Podcast Network at Wincinnati Pod. And follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9. The same on Instagram without the @ Bengals_Pulse9. And as always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. One thing we didn't talk about, Jamar Chase is back. We're filming on Tuesday. Hopefully we get some good news on Thursday, right?
I hope so, yeah. Positive thoughts.
Thoughts and prayers to you, Jamar. Get healthy. We need you on Sunday. All right, guys, he is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo-day, Bengal fans. We will see you soon.